career in the entertainment industry has enabled me to work with a diverse range of talent. Through my years of experience, I've recognized two essential aspects. Industry professionals, whether famous stars or behind-the-scenes staff, have fascinating stories to tell. Secondly, audiences are eager to listen to these stories, which offer a glimpse into their lives and the evolution of their life stories. This podcast aims to share these narratives, providing information on how they evolved into their chosen career. We will delve into their journey to stardom, discuss their struggles and successes, and hear from people who helped them achieve their goals. Get ready for intriguing behind-the-scenes stories and insights into the fascinating world of entertainment. Hi, I'm Tony Mantor. Welcome to Almost Live Nashville. Joining us today is Michael Gomoll. He is the passionate founder of Joey Song, a remarkable charity that fights epilepsy through the power of music. Inspired by the loss of his young son, Joey, Michael has built an incredible movement, including the star-studded Freezing Man concert series. Joey Song has raised millions for critical research and support, turning grief into action for families everywhere. Leading up to the event, we're running a special promotional series spotlighting Michael's vital work alongside the amazing artists, volunteers, and supporters who make it all happen. And over the next few days, we'll be having some of these incredible artists right here on the show to help spread the word. Starting it off today is Michael himself, who will give us the inside story on how this started and how it's grown over the years into a powerhouse concert series, raising funds to support the critical research needed to find treatments and cures. So before we dive into our episode, we'll be back with an uninterrupted show right after a word from our sponsors. Thanks for joining us today.
No, thanks for giving me the megaphone. Spreading the word is what I do.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So if you would, give us a little information about what you're doing.
So Joey Song is a charity that we started back almost 16 years ago now when my son Joe passed away after battling a lifelong affliction with epilepsy. Epilepsy is a spectrum disorder, all of it bad, but some of it worse than others. And unfortunately, he was at that far end on the spectrum with something called Dravet Syndrome. What we really try to do is give hope to what we say is the next family, right? There's somebody today sitting in a neurologist's office getting a really bad diagnosis and they're scared, they don't know what to do, and they need to know somebody's out there fighting for them. So what we do is we use some of my misspent youth to make some contact with some folks in the music business, and we put on these shows every year here in Madison, Wisconsin in January that we call Freezing Man. Call it Freezing Man because if you're from somewhere that's not Wisconsin and you think you're coming to Wisconsin in January, you're pretty sure you're going to freeze.
Yeah, that's true.
So we lean right into it, right? Instead of say, oh no, Wisconsin's, we go right for it and say, you're going to come and you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And so what Freezing Man is basically, I was fortunate back in the 80s when I was in the music business here in Madison. I did not have a career in the music business. I started out in college and then went on, despite the long hair and everything, to work for IBM, believe it or not, for a bajillion years.
Okay.
But back in those days, I was friends with a guy called Butch Vig, who went on to produce Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins and Green Day and Foo Fighters and his own stuff, et cetera, and tons of other people. So when it came time for us to figure out what Joey Song is, one of the people that I reached out to was my college pal, Butch. And so it started small. Our first few events were concerts featuring Butch and Duke and Freddie Johnston and a few other folks. They have a kick-around band, best thing to call it, called the Know-It-All Boyfriends.
Yeah.
And they do covers and play each other's weddings and bar mitzvahs and all that kind of stuff. So we had the KIAB come and play a show here in Madison, and it was great. 600-seat theater, and we sold it out, and it was tons of fun.
Yeah.
But we kind of realized that we could make it bigger and better than it was. And through some serendipity, we started reaching out to folks that Butch knew and that I knew, and we grew it into this Know-It-All Boyfriends kind of serving as a house band and then bringing in all these various guests to come and sing their own songs, to sing some cover songs and do all that. And all of these people do it for free. So I've got some relatively big names on the roster.
Yeah.
And they get paid 2 beers and a ham sandwich for a weekend in Wisconsin to come and help me raise money for epilepsy research. So that's what we do. And it's a night of covers and just like you're seeing a really good bar band.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, you tell me that it's coming up this coming January.
Yep.
Tell us a little more about it.
January 9 and 10 here at the Sylvia in Madison, Wisconsin. January 9, it's the same bill both nights, but on the 9th, we're doing an all acoustic kind of storytellers thing because we've got all these amazing people that have been involved in, hits we all. So tell the story behind the song. How'd you record it? How'd you write it?
Well, don't hold back now. Let's name drop a little bit.
Should we do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been holding out. I didn't know if there was going to be like a brass band or something that would.
Yeah, let's name drop some.
All right.
Started off with Friday night. Who's going to be there?
Well, it's the same bill both nights. One night's acoustic and one night.
Oh, okay, all right.
So our guests this year, besides Butch and Duke and Freedy, the names that I already mentioned, we've got John Resnick from the Goo Goo Dolls. We've got Vicki Peterson from the Bangles. We got Jane Weedland and Gina Schock from the Go-Go's. John Gorley from Portugal the Man. Chris Collingwood from Fountains of Wayne. Max Collins from Eve 6. Nikki and Brian from Silver Sun Pickups. I'm sure I'm missing some other. Hugo Burnham from Gang of Four.
I heard you've got Kurt from Tears for Fears.
Just added Kurt to yesterday. It was Sunday. I was just about to sit down to watch the Packer game, and I got an email from Kurt saying he was in. So Kurt Smith from Tears for Fears. And so all these people come and they kind of form these super groups, right? They the guitarist from one band, the drummer from another, and the bass player from a third with another lead singer, and they sing a Beatles song or something. So it's these literally one-of-a-kind moments, that are never going to happen again.
Yeah, that's just a great concept. You've got a really good thing going. Now, with all this money coming in, is it going to local charities or is it going to national charities?
Yep, it's a great question. So, as I said, we run on all volunteers. So I don't take a salary. There's no paid staff. If you're watching this, you see Joey Song International headquarters here in my basement, all of that kind of stuff. So we run very lean and mean other than putting on the show. So there's nothing's paying salaries or overhead. And we work mostly with an organization out of Chicago called CURE, Citizens United for Research in Epilepsy.
Okay.
And their focus is to kind of serve as a clearinghouse for researchers that are looking for funding. So they help me because, to be honest with you, Tony, if somebody showed me a medical RFP, you may as well show one of my dogs because I wouldn't know what to make hide nor hair of it. But what CURE does is they know where my interests lie. I'm looking at the pediatric. I'm looking at the really intractable epilepsies, the kind of stuff that would have helped my son. And they help me figure out, they'll give me 2 or 3 to choose from, and they walk me through it like a grade schooler, which they have to do, and explain, all right, this is what this one does. So we take all that money and we put it into these research grants. So, we literally are trying to get rid of, we earn the money and then we get rid of it.
Yeah, that's great. Now, once the concert's over, are you starting the next day planning and figuring and deciding on what you're going to do?
Yep.
For the next year?
Yeah. Well, I give myself, honestly, Tony, as I've gotten older, it takes 2 or 3 days to recover. But yeah, it's, and honestly, some of the process is already starting now because I'm very fortunate. I'm blessed. So many of our artists are advocates then for us. Like, for example, right now, Butch is down Garbage is touring in Australia and New Zealand, and they're doing all these festivals. And he's playing with other folks of pretty high esteem. And I just got a text, I'm not going to name drop because it's not for sure yet, but he got a text, hey, so-and-so just headlined this festival we were at. He's interested, right? So, I mean, it's literally, he said, probably not for 2026, but 2027. So we're kind of always recruiting. And that's the magic of having the people that I have, because they're out on the road all the time and meeting people, and they're kind of my best advocates.
That's fantastic that you've got all these people working for such a great cause. Now let's roll back time a little bit to when you very first started. How long did it take till you got it to this very level that you're doing now?
Really, the big breakthrough year was 2019, just before COVID, of course, right?
Oh, of course.
When the whole world shuts down. We did a show at a 1,000-seat venue, and we had folks like Brian Ray, whose day job is he's Paul McCartney's guitar player, which ain't a bad gig to have when you're playing with our Mozart, and a few other folks like that. It was the first year that Chris Collingwood from Fountains of Wayne joined. It was the first time I had people on the bill, and I don't mean this in disparaging for the other people, but where I don't really have to explain who they are, right?
Yeah. I'm
a music dork, so I know who the bass player in, Duran Duran was or whatever it is. A lot of people don't, so you kind of have to go through, well, someone's, And all I had to do was play Stacy's mom and, those kind of things. And everybody kind of knew. And that's when it really started to take off. And to be really honest with you, Tony, Butch is kind of my instant credibility. I don't need to hand a resume and references when I say, well, Butch Vig's my musical director for the show. Most people kind of go, all right, we're good.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But it was 2019. And then, of course, everything shut down for a couple of years. But we were able to keep momentum going. And now we're doing, multiple nights in a 2,500 seat venue. So it's really cranking along.
So with COVID, it killed everything. It shut everything down.
Yep.
How did you maintain during COVID so that you didn't lose your traction and you could still keep growing?
Well, it turned out, at least for our charity, to be a bit of a blessing in disguise. So the difficult thing, Tony, is that we do this on a specific weekend for a number of reasons. And so we have lots of people that are interested in helping, but just aren't available the second weekend in January because they take holidays and vacations and lots of stuff. Even these rock stars do all that.
Sure, that makes sense.
So we've got lots of people that would love to help, but just can't because of timing. Well, what COVID let us do is we had people record in their home studios and do live versions of stuff. So folks like Jewel was able to do something for us. We've never been able to get Jewel to come here to Madison because the timing hasn't worked, and those types of folks. So it actually helped because then we were able to say, hey, you got 2 months, go down into your home studio, do a live acoustic couple songs, and then we spliced them together. So it actually helped us. Patterson Hood from Drive-By Truckers, my memory isn't what it used to be, but lots of really cool people that hasn't been able to come were able to contribute. So that really helped. And by that point, if you'll remember in COVID, we were all used to watching lots of stuff on our shows and benefits on our tablet.
Well, the one thing COVID did is it created forums like this, Zoom, where it made things easier for us to communicate.
Yes, absolutely.
Before COVID, if a TV station wanted to interview you, you had to be in the city where they were at, or they wouldn't record you at all.
Correct.
Now it's, we can do Zoom.
Right. It almost overnight stopped it from being a mystery that only the techies understood to something, your mom and dad could do.
So with all the dynamic changing, was you able to use Zoom to do live shows and still keep what you was doing going?
We did the one thing. We were able to use Zoom to do a lot of the press leading up to it, which was great. But no, what we really did was we tried to recreate what we do at the live show, which is lots of different artists doing covers and originals, because we ask everybody to do covers as well. And so it really created a chance. And we, did the old, and musicians as well as I do, we gave them 2 months. And of course, everybody got them in the day before the deadline. But it let us kind of recreate the show. And part of the reason why we didn't do other special stuff is everybody was doing their own Zoom things just for their own career, because everybody that is helping us are still working musicians. So it was kind of a crazy time.
Once we got out of COVID and you was able to do more live shows,
Yep.
How did your first show coming out of COVID do? Was everybody like, yeah, I'm ready for this, bring it on?
Yeah, yes, and yes, because it's in January. It's when people normally aren't touring anyway. So most people, even without a global pandemic, have availability. And it was such a cathartic thing for everybody to get together and do that because we had all been cooped up. Felt like the doors had opened that summer before the first one we had done and the restrictions had dropped, but nobody was really touring before that. People were doing one-off dates. There were a couple East Coast festivals that popped up. So for a lot of people, we were really their first chance to, flex their musical muscles and get out. And it was great. The thing that you probably know very well, Tony, is that the music community is a lot smaller than people think, right? Especially with folks of our age and our generation. Everybody at least knows of each other if they don't know each other. Obviously Bangles and Go-Go's know each other and Goo Goo Dolls and all that. But it really gives a chance for people to hang because even when they're at like a festival, you get 10 minutes because somebody's either got to go sound check or go do some press or it's your set or it's us. This gives these guys 2 and 3 days. I do a lot of press with Butch, again, who's kind of my right-hand man. And the one thing that he says to people, because they ask, well, why do people keep coming back? He goes, it's like rock camp for musicians, right? They get to do something they're not normally doing. No pressure. Nobody's got to carry the show. It's just great. So.
Yeah, that sounds good. So you do an acoustic night on Friday.
Yep.
Then you mirror image the Friday night with live instrumentation on Saturday.
Yep.
Do you see a different group of people coming in from Friday to Saturday because of the different sound that's being presented?
Yeah. And I use this phrase about myself, so there's nothing derogatory about it. The music dorks come on Friday, right? The people that really want to hear the story behind the song. How did you and the Bangles get Prince? What's the story behind Manic Monday, right? They're the ones that want to hear it. And everybody enjoys that, but that's really the folks that are into that stuff and like the minutia, as I am one of them, would be the acoustic show. And then the Saturday people, this is Wisconsin after all, so it's the party people, right? It's the guys that want to go, woo, AC/DC, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Both vibes are very inspirational and uplifting, but in a different kind of way. Because everybody, knows why we're there, why these people are leaving their nice warm homes in the valley and coming to Madison. So everybody's excited about it, but there's just a warmth to it, I think, where everybody kind of goes, we're having fun and we're doing a lot of good right now. This is awesome.
Yeah, it is. Now, I know you started this because of your son, and that's great.
Yep.
That's a really great reason to honor him and help others as well.
Yep.
It goes way beyond that now because you're helping so many people. Have you become what we could call a sounding board now? It's a little cliche, but are you a sounding board where people now will reach out to you because they do want to know more and get involved with what you're doing?
I'd say it a different way. We are a billboard for people who feel underseen and underrepresented.
Nice, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that. So epilepsy, unlike most disorders, unless somebody's having a seizure in front of you, which is not something that happens all the time, you don't know somebody has epilepsy. If somebody has multiple other neuro disorders, it's easy to tell.
Yeah.
And until the 1920s, there were still people that assumed it was, demons, and even the medical world didn't know what this was. So there has always been a stigma with it. The kind of emails and comments that I get are more, and I should add one more thing to it, and there's nothing wrong with this, but a lot of the fundraising that goes on tends to focus on the disorder and how impactful it is, which is great. But there's a heaviness that can often come with that. And one of the phrases that we use is, what we do is serious, how we do it is not. Right? And I get more of those kind of comments from people. My son has epilepsy and we support everything we can, but now we can come with him and watch this show or whatever it is. So I'd say we're more of a billboard that says epilepsy, it's really important that we fight it, but it doesn't have to be all, dour and gloom.
Yeah, I totally get that. I've got a podcast that when it first started out was autism only.
Yep, I remember.
When you talk about autistic people, you cannot tell at face value whether or not they are autistic.
Correct.
You can look at others that might have Down syndrome or some other form of disabilities.
Absolutely.
So you are in the very similar situations where people can't see. And if they can't see it, then they have a hard time digging into their pockets to give money for things that they just can't visualize.
Yeah, because and when they don't understand it, they don't understand the impact. They don't understand the reality of it. They don't understand all of those things. And it's not their fault. We're all super busy. There's lots of disorders I don't understand, but that's our job. And I'm really blessed to have this amazing group of musicians that have all bought in. And most of them have their own connection to it one way or another too. Not everybody does, but a lot of them do. And so they're willing to be my advocates and they're willing to say, let's take my fame and my fortune and do more good with it.
Well, the one thing that you're doing, and I think that people have to realize that are listening to this, you're dealing with something that they probably don't understand. However, one thing that they do need to understand, epilepsy, just like autism or serious mental illness, you can choose whichever one you want to pick. That one person that has whatever one you pick affects 30 to 100 people or more in their local community.
Oh, yeah. Right.
You've got family members, you've got doctors, you've got nurses, you've got counselors. There are just so many people it affects. They have to understand that this is something that needs to be addressed because it affects so many people in their local communities.
It does, and the costs are so extreme for folks with these neuro disorders, whatever they may be, because somebody with uncontrolled seizures can't drive a car.
Right.
and all of those other things. So to understand that they need, and again, I don't want to turn this into a cliche festival, but they're not asking for a handout. They're asking for a hand up. Help me, be independent. I can't because of this, but if you can help me with all the other stuff that goes with it. And obviously the biggest thing we can do is find treatments that can help stem these diseases, right? The statistics for the epilepsy community get burned in your brain early, right? 1 in 26 people will develop epilepsy in their lifetime. Right now, there's currently 50 million people in the world with epilepsy. 1 in 3 of those people can't find relief from their seizures through either medicine or surgery. So whatever the math is, take any of those numbers that I just told you and divide them by a third, and that means those people don't know from minute to minute when they may be in the back of an ambulance or worse, right? And so it's not that any disorder is inconvenient, but in this case, whether it's autism, whether it's any of these neurodisorders, they're not just inconvenient, they're life-altering, and they're life-altering for friends and family as well.
Yes, that's so true. What a lot of people do not understand is they are not trying to change your world. They're just trying to change their world so they can fit in your world.
That's right, because the world, again, especially for these hidden disorders, is not set up for that. I mean, look how long it took for us just to have wheelchair ramps on sidewalks, let alone the accommodations we need for neuro-challenged folks to live healthy, normal lives. It's invisible. And kind of looping back to where you started with some of these questions, that's why us holding this big thing in the sunlight, well, not the sunlight in Madison in January. There is no sunlight in Madison in January. The spotlight, how's that? The spotlight tells people that it's okay, that there's a joyousness to this. We can all fight together. We can all lock arms. And if we sing Obla-dee, Obla-da while we do it, even better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know exactly what you're talking about because I was born and raised in a little town called Madison, Maine. It can be 30 below.
Right.
Or it can be 10 above. Or anywhere in between.
And what people don't understand, and I should be doing a better job of selling Madison, the bigger part for us locals in the winter is the gray, not the cold. Because you can always put on a hat and a coat, but it seems like once winter rolls around, the sun, all of it heads down south, Yeah. But it's still, I live here by choice, and I have most of my life. I'm such a Yankee that for me, moving south was when I went down to Chicago for 15 years. That to me was heading down south. So.
Yeah, I get that. I think it's great what you're doing because you brought up a word earlier. You used the word stigma and how people perceive it.
Yes.
When I've worked with people, whether they're autistic, ADHD, bipolar, schizophrenia, anxiety, you name it, there's always a stigma to it.
Yep.
I've tried to change that word from stigma to perception.
Yeah.
People have a certain perception of what they think it is. Yet in reality, they don't have a clue to what it actually is. When they actually start to learn about it and understand, then they realize that it's really not as scary as they once thought it was.
That's exactly right. And that's where having the spotlight, once again, shine on it, gives you the examples that you need. And that's a really fair way to look at it because people that suffer from these neurodisorders have all the abilities that you and I have for the most part. They have some things that get in the way from that processing normally, sometimes at really inconvenient times, but they love, they feel, they care, they work. All of the emotions and things that make us human, all of these people have them as well. They've just, unfortunately, there's a little bit of a curveball, but it can all be worked through if we all work together and we all have focus on it. And we all have a word that's severely missing is empathy and care for our fellow man. When you realize that it is cool to be empathetic and it's really macho to care about other people and to care about people that have things perhaps not as easy as you and I have them, the world just becomes a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. We are very fortunate, you and I, that we don't have to worry about those issues. We get up in the morning.
Yep.
Then it's a matter of what are we going to do today? We don't have to worry about other things. So we're very, very fortunate in life. We don't have a regimen of things that we have to do just in order to survive.
That's right.
And most people that are like us, unless they come in contact with someone that have special needs, they don't realize how nice and good they have it within their lives from day to day.
Yes.
And all the people that you're trying to help, and we're all trying to help, all they're looking for is to have it that good as well.
Yeah.
Some of these people require medicine, psychotherapists, all kinds of doctors to help them. That's why we have all these people that are coming together, like yourself, that's trying to make a difference for everyone that needs a helping hand.
It's about providing a support structure for people. Again, not pulling them along, but providing them the support so they can move forward. I think the other thing, Tony, on the neuro disorders too, that people probably don't connect the dots on is most medications and or surgery that people have to try to alleviate symptoms or problems, you're messing with the brain. That's when I have deeper conversations with people about really what we're trying to accomplish with the research is you got to understand that they're taking that pill every day to make their brain do something. And sometimes, the side effects are as bad as the disorder sometimes. And that's a decision that some people have to make. Do I want to have the seizures or do I want to feel like I'm in the fog? And I'm sure you've done it through your work with ADHD and autism. When you talk to neurologists that get honest with you, to them, the brain is still the bottom of the ocean, right? It's really an unexplored frontier. And it's more of a, if we do this, does this happen? Well, we don't know why it's happening. And for somebody that's either a caregiver for or affected by epilepsy, that's really intimidating, really intimidating.
It is intimidating. And if it's intimidating for those that have medical experience,
right?
Just imagine how intimidating it is for those that have no knowledge of it at all.
Right.
I think you used a great word, and that's empathy. A lot of people think that empathy can be a problem, but it's not. It's a problem fixer.
Absolutely. It's also a problem lubricant, for lack of a better phrase, right? Because when you allow yourself to put yourself in your brother's shoes, you allow yourself to, as you pointed out earlier, realize how good you have it and start all the things you take for granted. You and I are both of a certain age, Tony, where we can't do a lot of things we probably did about 30 years ago. I got to use the handrail now to go up and down the steps because Grandpa might fall if he's not careful. I didn't realize how good I had it back, 30 years ago when I could skip up and down the steps. And my point is, we all notice things we can no longer do. Well, imagine if that's your day-to-day, right? It's easier to have empathy when you think back, or at least for me. And I think that that's a lubricant for this problem solving. If you can start to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, you can start to understand why the services they need, why the support they need, why the extra whatever it is, extra 10 minutes to do this, or the extra lane in the whatever it might be, why that's important.
That's so true. Now, again, how do people contact you? How do they find more about what it is that you are doing? We've covered a lot of great things here today, but many times people hear something for 30 minutes and then they forget about it.
That's right.
So give us some information so they can find out more about what you're doing.
Sure. I'll give you the easiest thing to do is remember these two words, Joey's Song. My son was Joe, and it's about music. So it's Joey's Song. Our website is joeysong.org. We are Joey's Song on all the socials you're on. If you go there, you can either sign up for a newsletter, which gives regular updates, or go to the socials. You can see the lineup, everybody that's coming. We've got auctions this year. We've got a guitar auction. Signed guitars by Brad Paisley, Jason Isbell, Cheap Trick. Oh, I'm forgetting. We've got about 20 guitars. Alice Cooper, Rick Springfield. Tons of people have signed guitars for us, so you can see our auction. We do, for those of you that aren't in the Madison area in January, we are live streaming the Saturday show. So that's a great way for you to help. You can watch the show. It's $25 to watch it, and you can sit in your living room in Nashville or San Diego or Austin and be nice and warm watching it as well. But just remember Joey's Song, and if you do that, you'll find us.
Yeah, that's great. This has been great. I've really enjoyed this. Been great conversation, great information. I really appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Tony, I appreciate you hooking me up with all your listeners out there. That's the way. We talked about it being a lubricant. You're being our message lubricant on this to help ease our message out in the public. So I'm grateful to you.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thanks again. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the show. This has been a Tony Mantor production. For more information, contact media@plateaumusic.com.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.